What you're seeing here is an interesting game called Fruit Heart Attack, which is basically heart attack but with fruits. Every time you see 5 fruits on the table, you ring the bell. That's why it is so noisy at the beginning of today's The Chat Room with CGTN. I'm Gongzhe, the nerd of CGTN, and today we're going to talk about esports, which requires you to have really fast response time, just like the previous game. And now, allow me to introduce the guests. And first is Sam. Sam, what do you do for a living?
I am Sam, and I'm a caster for League of Legends Chinese stream.
Oh, so you are an insider of the Chinese esports scene. And what about you?
I'm Vika. I'm a blogger on YouTube and teach Chinese. I'm also a big fan of esports.
So you produce content for esports.
Yeah.
And we have known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And Isaac. And what do you do for a living again?
I'm an esports entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. I do create content and I do a lot of esports content tournaments.
That's also very great. And now, talking about esports, we're going to see a lot of people young people playing, but our audience doesn't really know us yet. So maybe allow me to play a little game and let the audience know who we are and what we really are. And that is called the two truth and a lie. So every time, each of us will state 3 statements about ourselves related to esports, and those are containing 2 true statements and a lie, which might be a partial lie. And the job for the rest of us 4 is to find out which one among them is the lie. So let me try first. So here is my statement. My first statement is that I casted as an esports match for 6 hours non-stop. And the second one is I get stuck in platinum level in every esport game I've ever played. And the third one is I learned English casting from the same coach with Candice, the League of Legends host.
Question. I wonder for the casters. So 6 hours is possible for a match? Or even more?
It is possible, but I want to ask what kind of game do you cast that time for 6 hours nonstop?
The game is Honor of Kings, which is basically the Chinese version of Arena of Valor.
So how many games do you cast that day?
That day, it was a best of 7 game, and each game lasted for, I think maybe 20 to 30 minutes.
Oh,
I didn't
okay.
quite
Reasonable?
remember.
The math doesn't work, but yeah. Let's say that
It is 6 hours.
There was a lot of things just going in between the games, right? So probably it would make it to 6 hours. Talking a little bit about the same coach with Candice from League of Legends. How did that happen?
Well, we graduated from the same university, and we're learning the English broadcasting and anchoring.
That makes sense.
That's why we were coached by the same person. So
Platinum level. How many?
Time to guess. Time to guess.
Time to guess?
Which
I would say it's second
I
one.
would say-
The second one gotta be fake. No one can just take a platinum for that long. It's impossible.
Especially in every
basically
competitive
impossible.
video game.
Right?
With like for some of them.
Because there were so many
Platinum.
games out there.
You know, I've heard that for some games it is really easy to get to diamond and above. So,
Yeah.
so I still think the second statement is a lie.
Second?
I'll go for the second one.
Second
yeah.
one.
Can I go for the first one? Because I feel like it's not like 6. It's like maybe higher.
Maybe higher
Maybe
than
long,
6?
yeah, maybe
Higher?
higher than
Poor
6.
man.
Well, the lie is the first one, but
Really?
it's shorter. It
Oh,
lasted
it's
5
shorter.
hours.
It was the time that we actually casted together.
Right, we
wasn't
did it together. So
5 hours.
That is
a
a
5 hours
mathematical
match.
stat.
Sorry.
Man, 7 games, each one 20
Okay.
to 30
Okay,
minutes.
The math didn't make sense.
No, I
I
thought
agree.
there was a
Oh
pause
my
or
God.
something.
So I got most of you.
And then that is the
Sam,
second
it's your
one.
turn.
For Sam.
Is for me.
Right.
And the first is my TFT Teamfight Tactics, which is a mode in League of Legends. Ranking point is 1,000 points higher than my League of Legends ranking points. And the second, 2021 is my first year of casting, and I've casted many regions, including LETC, the European region, LCS, the North American region, LCK, the Korean region, and PCS, that is the Pacific region. So many regions. And the third is I watched League of Legends games since Season 7 Worlds when I watched the game offline in my hometown, Wuhan.
Wow, it's your hometown. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But I wonder if you can cast so many regions, because there got to be so many players belonging to so many clubs.
So I have to do the preparation like even a week before the game start, before the match day, because there are many players and their history that I'm not familiar with.
That is a lot of stats, you know, like if you are gonna cast for so many different regions, that for sure that's a lot of numbers that you need to.
Yeah, but thanks to some websites that collected their data, and I can just get the result from those websites.
So the second one is feasible. Season 7 Worlds, was that in Wuhan?
Yeah, that
Right,
was
part of it in Wuhan.
the playing
Which
stage.
part? I wanna
Which
know.
part? But I mean, yeah.
The playing
What
stage.
club? What club? Do you remember that game?
I watched on the first day of the group stage, and RNG did their show, ADG did their show.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
I would say the first one.
The
Because
first
the
one?
second one and the third one, they're solid, but I do not know about the first one.
1,000 points higher.
He doesn't cast TFT, or
I cast.
you do?
Yeah, I do. I casted the TOC, that's the TFT
I feel-
Open Championship in China, and also the TFT Worlds, which is the biggest world title for TFT.
So that's also.
I feel like a lot of big words going around. I don't know. I'm
Second.
gonna go for the first one.
No,
I'm gonna go for the first
I will
one.
go the second. Why am I always
so
different?
actually the lie is the third one.
Wow.
Because I didn't watch League of Legends games since Season 7 Worlds. I watched it from the Season 4.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
we
you're
focused on the
veteran.
offline and Wuhan, so actually it's now Season 7. The
Yeah.
Season 4.
So you started watching since Season 4.
They're pretty
Yeah,
early.
and for Season 7 Worlds, that is the first time that I went offline to watch a match.
All right. I
Okay.
get it.
Huh.
Oh,
Okay.
time for
Oh,
you.
mine,
Mika.
mine are actually really short. First, I was at Incheon when IG won the championship. And the second, I had photos with Woozy and Faker. And third, I am a support player.
A support player
Yes.
for MOBAs.
For
For MOBAs.
For-
MOBA game.
yeah.
Okay, so support player. I hate saying it, but it kind of fits. I
know.
hate it because most of girls would like playing support positions.
You
It is,
understand?
it is a very common fact.
But I think maybe she's setting up a trap.
Maybe she's just right now just trying to bait us into saying number 3, right?
Yeah, make us the
accept.
I don't know. Incheon, when IG won the championship,
Did you remember the date?
November 3rd.
Wow.
So even
Good
the
memory.
date is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is correct.
Wow.
and you have photos with Uzi and Faker.
On what occasion?
On the stage.
Honest.
Woozy.
which
Yes,
stage?
on the stage, like the you know the fan meeting part.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the stage with them.
When and where?
Different time, different location. So Woozy was like in Beijing, and Faker was like when I visited Korea. I think I'm telling you everything now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Okay.
stop. Okay, guess.
Okay, so I'm
my
gonna
God.
say that you're not a support player. I would say that's the trick.
I'm also going
That's
for
the
3.
trick.
You're going to the number 3?
Number
Right,
3.
I'm
Okay,
going for 3.
I'm going to number 2.
Okay, the correct is number 1.
Okay.
Oh.
I wasn't at Incheon. Because you know in season 8, my favorite team RNG lost, so I fly back
Oh.
before
Wow.
the finals.
Oh no way! You were there and you flew back.
I didn't know like the IG gonna make to the finals, and then I was like so
Yeah.
sad when I saw RNG lost.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
was frustrated.
yeah, so I flew back.
Did you remember the date?
I know October 20th.
That is.
October
we all
20th,
know,
I
yeah,
remember
it's a meme
all
now.
of them. October
It's a big
20th.
meme now in
It's a
China.
nightmare.
It is a big meme
And I
now.
have never
RNG
year.
don't play on October
Never
20th.
year.
At least 2 years in a row.
At least, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
now let's see what Isaac has.
As I
Okay,
have.
mine. I announced the first Chinese esports gold medal in history. Second one, I interviewed both Uzi and Faker. And I played video games since I was a child. Which one do you think is?
So,
Child.
I'll go for the second one.
You go for the second one?
I'll go second one straight.
which game it was for you to announce the first esports gold medal?
So I hosted the demonstration event in the Asian Games in Jakarta in 2018.
So what was the game for the first medal?
The game for the first medal was AOV, Arena of Valor.
Arena of Valor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uzi and Faker.
Yes.
Like you are not really the caster for the League of Legends, right?
No, I was the host.
Oh, you're the host.
Yes.
Okay, so third one. So not a
I think
child.
we all started playing since we were children.
I wasn't.
right?
I'm not.
You're not?
Really?
No?
I'm not. I studied so hard. So I don't think it was not a child.
Okay, so you think it's the third
Yeah,
one.
I voted for the third one.
What do
I'll
you think
vote for
was
second.
Second?
Oh,
for second?
For second.
Right.
So
And I vote for
the third. Third.
Wait for
third.
The
third one?
Like
All right. So I did announce the first Chinese gold medal.
I know, I saw the
And-
stream.
There you are. And I did interview both Uzi and Faker during the Asian
The
Games.
Asian Games,
Yes,
right?
exactly. I started playing games when I was in my 20s, on my
Wow.
late 20s
Wow.
actually.
Yeah, right?
I never actually played. I always was playing football. Traditional sports was more of my thing. And then after that, I just got into gaming when I was in my late 20s.
So what happened to you? What's so great about it?
What happened to me? Well, all
Yeah,
my friends were playing games, right?
That's
and
the
then
fashion.
since
peer
everyone was
pressure.
playing games,
So now even gamers have peer pressure.
I didn't want to be the one just left out, right? Like, and just the one that, oh, I do not play games, and then everyone is playing, and they're like, oh, you want to play together? And you're like, I don't know how to
Okay.
play. Nah.
I kind of get it.
Play games with friends and then you can share the topic with them.
Of course.
Sure, and we also went to Sanlitun in Beijing to find out if people know a lot about esports. So we asked them about EDG getting the World Championship and also the esports going into the Asian Games, which will be the next in the next Asian Games in Hangzhou, China, and the gold medal will actually be counted into the gold tally. So that's a big different thing. So let's see people on the street how they talk about it.
知道. Yeah, you know it's China.
I actually don't know much about esports. We don't really follow esports in the UK that much. I know it's very popular in China and many Asian countries.
I only know that it's China because the day that China won, it was a disaster in the university. Like everybody was like, yeah. So I just knew that China won.
我觉得挺好的，因为他们为国争光嘛。
他决赛对战的是韩国的1号种子队伍，从这儿开始赢了的话，就含金量非常高。
就是很神奇，因为他们第2把和第3把都输了嘛，第4把赢了，然后就觉得他们状态很好，然后就觉得可能会赢，最后他们又被那个 DK 不是又拿了一波大龙，然后就觉得又有可能被翻，反正就是感觉一路过来挺起伏的吧。
是感觉很不容易吧，打的大家配合都比较好吧。第1把赢的时候，心里那块石头就落下，虽然后面被翻了2次，但是我们最后比分都拿了回来。
我知道，知道。
好像听说过吧，新闻上看过。
我知道，因为在前几年就已经在亚运会有那个英雄联盟电竞表演赛了，今年只是加入了一些更多的电竞项目。我觉得也算，因为体育它并不是说就是必须要是身体上的运动，还有一些比如说国际象棋那些也算是体育项目，所以我觉得电竞也算，因为它是要动脑，也要动手，还有配合的。
体育我觉得不算，但其实它主要是一种竞技的精神，传统的比较耗费体力的那种运动，我觉得才叫体育吧。
Because I truly think that playing video games is also kind of a sport because you truly need skills to do that. Not everybody can. Sometimes I play, I know it's not easy.
当然可以算呀，为什么不可以算？运动不一定非得是身体运动呗，可以是脑运动，对吧？ 而且再说了，从游戏本身来讲，它是算得上是一种益智类的，跟体育本身是相似的，并不冲突。
For me, it's not real. Like when you play a competition, like for example, my brother is really into like soccer. He plays soccer and he really like watching soccer. Like you can actually see that. That's something real. You can watch it in person. For like video games or esports, I have a hard time like understanding why people really follow it so much. Because for me, the point of playing a video game is for you to have a good time. I don't really see the point of watching other people having a good time. I think it's a little bit strange. But like I said, I understand, and actually a lot of my friends play esports.
这个我不认可，毕竟我觉得电竞也是一种职业嘛。比如像程序员，我就是程序员，天天坐在电脑面前也是，在干活，也不能说是网瘾少年吧。
可能我们说网瘾少年，就是因为他有他的正事儿，然后因为游戏耽误了他的正业，所以说他是网瘾少年。但是对于电竞选手来说，他们的职业本来就是把这件事情去做好。
如果达到了电竞选手的这个高度的话，应该更多的是一种工作，不是一种玩了。就
I think that's nonsense because I think that everything can become an addiction, not just video games. So the thing is, like, video games have that stigma because a lot of people that have other kinds of problems prefer to go into video games. But I think video games is a hobby like anything else. If someone is an addict, that's their thing. That have nothing to do with the video games. And so I truly think that people that play esports are not addicts. For me, they are like any other kind of athletes, like football players or people that play poker professionally, for example, are the same thing.
我认为电子竞技这个东西就是它是一种行业，并不是一种爱好，它不像是就是每天打游戏。我们可以把游戏带到现实生活中来，我们可以靠游戏来养活我们自己。
Seems like the people in Sunny Tuan are starting to accept esports as a sport. And talking about the Asian games, so Isaac, you casted the Asian games. Do you have any experience you want to share with us?
Well, it was a great experience just to be in that first demonstration event in 2018, right? It was nice because you get to see that there's so many things in common between electronic sports and traditional sports, and a lot of times like what people won't think is just what we do not have in common. They try to point out what we are different in, but you do have the audience, you do have the athletes, you do have the clubs, you represent your country. There's so many things that we have in common that being able to be part of that was a great honor, and I hope that this year and that is coming in Hangzhou is going to become bigger, and that we're going to have a bigger audience and people can actually go and experience that passion.
Hopefully. So to get more about the insider information, we also invited pro players to join the conversation. So let's welcome Icon from League of Legends Pro League in China, and he also went to this year's World Championship. So let's see, Icon. Hello.
Hey guys, I'm Icon, a League of Legends pro player. I have been in this industry for 6 years already.
So a quick question. What made you an esports player? What is so interesting in the video gaming that attracted you to become a pro?
When I was a student, I participated in some esports competitions with my classmates, and I guess I showed some talents. So I was chosen by a semi-professional team, and this began my esports career. I think what most attracted me is how this career taught me to fight as a team and practice persistently. And of course, the satisfaction when I win a game. So I would say esports filled my life with dreams and objectives.
Also, Sam, so you're also working as a professionals in this field. So what attracted you to become this?
I think most of us share the common answer, that is the passion. The passion from esports will attract me so much that I go to this field and I go to this job.
Okay, so it seems like we all have the passion for esports, and also we're going to ask Icon for a question. So we know that you're a professional player. You play on the stage. We see you every day, but we don't know much about you behind the scenes. So what do you do in your daily life?
Usually we train for 12 hours per day. Team training in the afternoon and personal training after midnight. And I choose to become a pro player because I love this game, so I will definitely still want to play this game after training.
Sure, that's a really tight routine. Another question for you, Icon. So what makes an esport player? Do you have to rank very high on the ladder in order to become an esport pro?
Talent definitely is the most important feature of a pro player. Rank points is not everything. Talent here, I mean, as an esport player, he needs to manage his mood well. Like, you have to adjust yourself after failure, and you can't be arrogant when you success. And most importantly, you need to adjust yourself, blending with your team. You have to play as a team, not as an individual.
Right, you need team spirit to become a pro player. So Sam, also I want to ask you. So does becoming a esport player requires you to be high in the ranking?
I think, of course, it requires you to be higher ranked, and that is the first step. Always say it is the basis of becoming a pro player, because if you rank high on a ranking board, and then maybe some coaches or managers will find that, wow, this guy doesn't have a team, and I think he is a talent to be a pro player, and he will contact you. Then that is the first step to go into a team for the for being a pro player. So, but after that, then the manager and the whole team will assess: do you really fit the team, or do you really fit the matches? Because some teenagers, they just rank well, but it doesn't mean that they can behave well on the matchups.
Okay, so there is still difference between becoming one and becoming a great one.
Yeah, so I think it requires necessarily that you rank high, but ranking high doesn't necessarily turn out to be that you are a good pro player.
Okay, so being a pro can be hard, and also sometimes they face failures. So Icon, when you fail in games, how do you adjust yourself to become positive again?
I am a pretty optimistic person, so I will just adjust my move and prepare for the next game.
Okay, so eventually players will enter their retiring state that they cannot play competitively great anymore. So what do they do after they retire? I want maybe Vika, you can answer this question.
I would say like streamer, caster, and a coach, and maybe they work for a club. But mostly from my perspective, I see most of them are caster and streamers, because I've seen many retired pro players. They're really good in still really good in playing games. They will teach their fans how to play. Yeah, as a streamer, and some are as the caster, as we see. Yes.
Because many of them are my colleagues, and also I think it makes sense that you see many streamers and casters, because they are easy to be seen, and some coaches, they are not so easy to be seen. But I think many pro players, after retire, they try to become a coach, like Clear Love did, and like you did. I mean, the letter U. Yeah, you did. And for some of them, if they doesn't want to stay in the field of esports, they can try to go to universities or to learn some other skills, because they are still very young and they can live another life.
Okay, still have time to switch.
Yeah.
For the next passion.
I feel like a lot of families are very concerned about this actual question, right?
Right.
Just like, what's going to happen to my child if he decides to pursue a career in esports? and then after he turns 23, 24, 25 years old, and that the career is over. What happens? What do they do? Where do they go? A lot of families are concerned about this because the industry is actually not that developed compared to other traditional sports. So it's important that we educate people in facts that being a professional athlete gives you a value added that not everyone has. Just the experience of you being there, competing against everyone else, and then just getting all that experience and being able to transform it into something that is going to be with you for the rest of your life. It is what we need to teach them, where to go after that. You are not going to be a player all your life, but how you can use that experience in your favor.
So I think I want to answer more about this question. That is because as the industry going more mature, I think more jobs are invented for those players who are retired, and especially because their experience of being a pro player is really a good advantage of them, and even can secure them a place for some certain jobs like coach. Because many teams, they have 5 players or even 6, 7 players, but they have so many coaches as a coach group. Like they have 7 coaches for 7 players. That is possible. Because many teams, they have youth team. Youth team also need some coaches. And many retired players can go to the coaches of youth group, which cannot be seen, but they live well.
Especially for support players, because and junglers, they understand a lot about the game's whole mechanics.
Yeah,
right.
they learn a lot for their experience. They learn a lot about the macro, and that will work well when they teach some new teenagers.
Sure. So things is going on, and things will get better.
Yeah.
And also, as you have talked about it, things in China is a bit different because they always go heading for the streamer. So have you ever seen, recognized any other characteristics that is special to China's esports scene compared to other countries?
I feel like esports in China is really a big industry compared to what I experienced in South Korea. As we all know, South Korea is really good at esports, but when I was in South Korea and I watched their LCK the league of the South Korea, and then I think they have the match in a cinema looking place, like much smaller than what we have in China, which is in the stadium, like the surrounding stadium with like hundreds or like thousands or like even more people, the fans, they're surrounding there. It looked like a concert. And we have like the host, the reporter, everything. We have just so many job offers. And also as for, I know, like for the base, the training base for no matter for the youth or for the pro gamers, really fancy. They live in a really fancy place. They have a really professional like the supplies, and compared to like South Korea, I just feel like we're booming here, like in China, definitely.
We have better facilities.
Right. And because things in China, when things come to China, it really scale up in an exaggerating way. And also talking about the global thing, so I think Isaac have a lot to say about this thing since you're from the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is the situation in Caribbean and maybe Latin America in general?
You see, I do believe that esports as an industry, it is advancing because of how internet has become popular since the 90s, and then how everything has been evolving about that, how 4G, 5G technology is actually allowing most of developed countries to be able to develop esports. In Latin American countries, African countries, you might see that since we do not have that big an access to internet, esports have not developed in the same way as it has been in other countries. We clearly are audience, we clearly are part of this whole phenomenon, but in terms of being clubs, getting players out there, we're clearly at a different level. We are in a disadvantage, that is for sure. So if we want to see more Latin American teams and African teams being able to participate in esports, we're gonna have to solve the hardware situation in these countries.
So better infrastructure is needed.
Infrastructure is gonna be able to set us up.
Okay, I get it. It's kind of a problem because like esports requires very stable and fast internet connection. Maybe the bandwidth is not very high, but it requires the response time or the lag to be really small. Right. And also, so after talking about the global situation, we also want to talk about the relation between esports and other industries. So as an observer, Vika, have you ever, what's your experience about this?
I just feel like esport has been a topic or title for many other industries, like the esport hotel. Like the hotel, they have the facilities like the computers behind us, so that it's for no matter for couples or just for for people, for guys, and to play there and while in the hotel. And also we have like the home party place, like here. Right here, like they have such a big party house that with the computer supplies for people who love playing video games, and also for some role-playing games, like they have the topic or theme related to esport. It's just like esport has become a really heated topic that involved in many different industries.
So it seems like people love to talk about esports, and every other industry is trying to get related to this.
Yeah.
That's a good thing if we want to develop esports in China. And also, there's another topic about esports being a sport in general, because as we see in the VCR, that many people are considering esports as a formal sport, but some people don't agree with this. So what do you guys think, especially for Isaac? So what do you think, like, if esport is special in the spirit compared with other sports?
I grew up in a nation that believes in traditional sports. In Costa Rica, you would have football, you would have basketball, you have volleyball. You would have all these different sports, but you would never actually think about gaming as a sport the same as football, right? I do agree on the fact that esports is a sport, because in my personal experience, after knowing about the industry and actually being able to see how the athletes perform, how the athletes prepare, the structure of the clubs that they need to create in order to be able to participate and to compete, it is the exact same thing as when you play football or when you play basketball or American football even. I do believe that they're sports. We should treat them as a sport and give the opportunity just to learn and understand a little bit about the game that esports is.
Right.
I think it's hard to define what is a sport, but I think esports is coming more and more close to the traditional sports as more strategies and tactics are used in the esports games. And I think that makes the esports game wonderful and make it closer to a traditional sport.
Right. Talking about tactics, we also, Icon just mentioned that teammates have to cooperate as a team to help each other to achieve victory. So Icon, what do you think about the esports spirit compared to sports spirit in general?
To me, there are many similarities between the two. For example, we as players, we have to practice every day, which sometimes become pretty boring, and every player endures physical injuries, as well as some levels of mental strain. And the main spirit of esports, I would say, is one word: persistence. We learn to face failure and overcome stress over and over again. So I think esports helped me to become a better version of myself.
Okay, after the controversies, we're also talked about how retired players are going to work. But I want to know more about how these talents are discovered. Maybe Sam, you have a lot to say about this, right?
Yeah, because I've just mentioned the youth team of every club. And nowadays we have the LYA League of Legends Youth Academy for 2 years in a row. And I think TJ Sport is inventing or trying to do more things for this field because they have 20 coaches for 130 high-ranking players, talented players from the server for them. So 20 coaches and 130 players, that is a big number.
Right,
and,
that's massive.
And only 40 of them survive from LYA. So that means 40 of them have signed their contract with some certain clubs, and they will show up on the LDL next year. And I wish more and more talented can be discovered in this way, and we can help them in a systematic way to produce more talents for our league and for esports industry.
Okay, so the source of players are solved, and also they're solving the retirement of them.
Yeah, so, both of them.
Right. So that is like a whole life cycle of esport players. That would be great. Actually, in addition to the industries we have mentioned that paying attention to esports, we at CGTN as a TV channel also paying a lot of attention to the esports industry. So our reporters, nationwide are also reporting about esports industry's development. And now we have a TV piece from our Shanghai correspondents about esports. Let's play the VCR.
4 years ago, playing video games was just a hobby for 24-year-old Liu Xufeng. This changed when he decided to make esports his profession, settling in Shanghai to develop his career.
I've always enjoyed playing in Shanghai because esports are big here. It's easy to find good training opportunities here. There are also many esports teams and competitions based here.
Competitions aren't the only esports-related thing you can find in Shanghai. There's also an esports shopping mall, esports hotels, esports-themed restaurants, and even a scripted role-playing games based on esports characters.
Shanghai has set such a goal because its esports sector has been developing for nearly 20 years, enabling it to compete with esports centers around the world. Esports can also give a boost to the industrial chain and economy because it can attract young people and isn't confined by borders.
Every part of the industry is chipping into the effort as well. Earlier this month, the city held the first ever esports championship East Asia, which saw more than 100 players from China, Japan, and South Korea pitted against one another. Traditionally hosted by commercial interest, this is the first event of its kind to be hosted by governmental bodies. Organizers say the biggest reason for putting on such an event is to boost the city's esports development influence.
Shanghai is already the best esports city in the world, but hosting competitions and teams aren't enough to become a global esports center. We also need to establish better gaming rules, preferably through an international organization.
Just this month, Shanghai published its 14th five-year plan for cultural development. One of the most important goals listed in the plan is to build the city into an esports center. Specific plans include encouraging social capital to construct competition venues, as well as encouraging more international competitions to set up shop in the city.
It seems like Shanghai is really doing a great job. Maybe, hopefully, it will become the capital of China's esports scene. And so after the CGTN piece, we're going to enter the most fierce part of this conversation, which is the debate. As the audience can see, we all have this octopus at our hand. The interesting thing about this is it can be flipped into another color. So I will raise a topic and or a statement. So if you agree, you can use the pink side and the smiley face. to express your agreement. And if you don't like one of those topics, you can use this to express your opposement. And so the first topic is that should esports be included in the Olympic? Maybe I could give you some time to flip your doll. Okay, it seems like Vika is the only
I'm the only one
that's
disagree.
opposing this idea. Okay, Vika, you have to explain. Why you think it's not great for it to enter the Olympics?
Well, not for now. I would say not for now because now it just entered the Asian Games on the net. Because I feel like Olympic Games is like in the more broader international base of the kind of sports games. And then for esports, just like you mentioned, it's still like not really popular or wide known in some other countries that they don't really access to the esport. And I feel like the Olympic esport is gonna be similar to what we have right now for the Worlds. For what we have like the League of Legends Worlds game, only those countries can participate in. So I just feel like we starting from the Asian Games, and then we need to. There's still a long way to go to the Olympic Games. Just let it wait for a little bit more, and then to be a more fair competition for as an international league.
Okay, so it's okay, but in the future.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. What about you, Isaac?
Well, we work with that logic. Then countries like Costa Rica are in a very big disadvantage because in Costa Rica it doesn't snow, so we cannot participate in the Winter Olympics.
Oh.
So should sports in Winter Olympics don't exist because we cannot participate? It is clear that not everyone is going to be able to make it. But that shouldn't be a price that we need to put on top of esports not being part of Olympics, I think. Mm-hmm. I do agree on the fact that we need to make this as a professional and well-thought decision. Mm-hmm. It cannot just be like, okay, let's make esports into Olympic sport. It cannot be like that. We need to know exactly how is this going to work. I do believe that as a sport, it deserves a position in the Olympic Games.
Okay, so personally, I think it's. I don't have a clear stand on this, but I think maybe esport doesn't really need to enter the Olympics. Maybe esports has its own rules as a sport. So there are many other games that doesn't really enter the Olympic, but is wildly popular in the world.
But the trend right now is just to try to make Olympic Games more and more appealing for the youth, right? If you analyze the Olympic Games in the last edition, we've got BMX, we've got surfing, games that they were not part of Olympics before, but they're trying to catch the younger people right now just to make them interested in sports again. So if we move on that trend, esports needs to be next in line. That's what I believe of why it should be a sport.
So do you think that esports will in the future maybe become the most participated sport?
Maybe not the most participated. I'm not going to say something such a critical and such a radical statement, right? I don't know how the future is going to look for esports. I can say that if it keeps growing at the pace that it's growing right now, this conversation of should it be part or shouldn't it be part is going to disappear in a couple years. That's for sure.
Okay. So, but there are other statements like the IOC, that the committee that organizes the Olympics. The head of it, I think there are officials in that place that they really oppose this idea to put video games into Olympic because they think video games usually are wild, usually are violent. And also sometimes it shows blood. Sometimes it shows people shooting each other with whatever, maybe not guns, but different kind of devices and different kind of weapons. So what do you think?
I think
it seems like you're not happy with that.
Some of the games do have such elements of violence, but I think some doesn't. And if you're banning the shooting games, what about the real shooting in Olympics? Exactly. That is the problem.
Okay.
So I think it is okay to have some change in the games and to select part of the game, but I think that means the admission of esports to the Olympics. That is the attitude from the Olympic. I think that is important for esports as well as Olympic.
Okay, so at least a large part of it fits the Olympics. So
because I really think esports fits the Olympic spirit, like the faster. I think in esports it's your faster,
stronger,
reaction speed and
reaction
higher.
faster.
Like you need some higher level of competition and
higher
higher
level gameplay, maybe.
Yeah, and also for stronger, I think you need stronger mentality for esports player because in esports many games are played in several games to decide who is the winner, like best of 3, best of 5, or even best of 7.
Yeah, I casted 5 hours. I know.
Yeah,
it's torturing long experience.
So definitely you really need very strong mentality to drop and forget the failure, the success before, and then just be dedicated and focus on the next game. That is important.
In addition to be physically strong enough to react, you have to be mentally strong.
Definitely.
To stay fine.
Yeah, true. So I think that those spirits can be demonstrated in the Olympic Games, and that is the way it can go into the Olympics.
Okay, seems like industry insiders really think this idea is possible. And now let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is even more controversial, I think. So, can esports lead to video game addiction? Time for you to flip. Actually, I would say no. Personally, I don't think it will lead to addiction.
I would say definitely not.
You say definitely not? Why? Why definitely?
Why not?
If we let's analyze addiction. Addiction comes from a person who has a need and then satisfies that need really quickly, and then I just get addicted to the feeling of that satisfaction. So radical behavior is what creates an addiction. Now, we're talking about esports. Esports and gaming are completely two different things. We need to be able to understand about the terminology. Gaming is what I do with my friends. I go with my friends and we talk and we play, and that's gaming. Esports as an electronic sport that is a sport that has a structure cannot lead to addiction. Now, if we're going to think about, can gaming lead to addiction? Of course, anything can lead to an addiction. Now, let's think about, is it gaming that is leading to the addiction, or is it the background, what's happening in the context of that person that is leading to trying to satisfy a specific need? Let's imagine that a child whose parents are not being with him or with her during all main part of the day. Is that child going to turn into an addicted to games because of the game, or because he's just not being taken care of? We need to think about the context and not actually about putting all this responsibility on gaming. We cannot do that. That will be irresponsible of us.
So hating the game will not solve the problem.
Exactly.
Okay, but you are the only one agreeing here.
Just because my personal experience, because I do play video games a lot. Ever after I know like video games, I still play every day. Like after work, I still play. So yes, I just like you said, like gaming or playing games is definitely gonna lead to addiction. But just you need to know how to manage your time. Like now, I need to manage my time with my working, and if I'm underage or if I'm a teenager, I need to know how to control my time to do a lot more time management between my study and also video games. But yeah, it's like I can say now I have some sort of level of addiction to playing games.
Right, I'm gonna flip. I'm kind of agree with this idea because I personally have this experience. Like, I'll have to win before I sleep.
Oh yeah, same.
I will not sleep until I win. And I'm on a losing streak, for the whole night. And when I finally got my win, I can see the sun already.
Yeah, definitely.
I think I would go in a different mentality. I would say I will play up until I lose. And whenever that I lose, I say, okay, I lost. It's time. That means it's time to go to bed.
Wow.
Oh, so it's just a matter of how you see it. It's a matter of educating yourself and educating your mind and your brain to understand what is the game for, what is the purpose of it. Is it the purpose of the game just to give me immediate satisfaction, or is it the purpose of the game just to enjoy actually playing the game regardless of the result? When you are just gaming just because you want that serotonin just in your brain just to be able to get that dopamine, then that is an issue. The issue is not gaming, the issue is the lack of education.
If I keep that mentality, I think I will go to bed 9 o'clock every night. I will play only one game every day. So
that sounds healthy.
I really love the clarification from Isaac about gaming and esports, because I'm so doubt about this.
How did you make it? How did you make both sides of it stand
not
out?
stand on either side.
Is this really possible?
because I really don't know what about this. I don't know the core about this question, but Isaac really pointed on it, like the difference between gaming and esports. Because for esports, I think the difference between gaming and esports is precise and accurate. If you are a pro player, you have to be precise and accurate on every aspect in the game. But that is not the mentality for a simple player like me. Like, they have to practice every aspect of the game, like the early game, the mid game, the laning phase, and the team fight, and every aspect for every champion. And that is really a hard work, and that contains so many strategies and tactics that coaches will tell you. That's really boring. That's really boring. And so many teenagers cannot endure this, and they just leave the esports club and go back to their own lives. So I think if one really wants to go into the industry, being a pro player, I think they should go to some pro clubs at the very beginning for the first, and just experience their life, and maybe just 2 days you will quit.
Okay. I know there are clubs now offering even paid service for this.
Yeah.
You get to realize that gaming is for gamers and esports is for athletes.
To break
are you a gamer or are you an athlete?
Right.
And
to
then
break
you will
those
just
unrealistic dreams.
So esports will not cause the game addicts. It will reduce your game addicts, actually.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That's possible. That is possible. Okay. So now that we're coming near the end of this conversation, and now I would like you, each of you, to submit or to summarize what esports is to you. Maybe starting with Sam.
So for me, esports is definitely a job now, and I want to do it well. And for the past few years, I really get the passion from esports when I watch those games online and offline. And in the future, I wish I can push my passion back into the esports on a commentary desk. And I wish I can enjoy the time with you audiences.
So you talk about future. What do you think is the future of esports?
The future is being a good caster, and I want to cast more wonderful esport matches.
What about esports in general, like the industry's future?
The industry's future, I think it is very bright, because we still have so many time for us to bring Shanghai a bigger capital for esports.
You're really into Shanghai?
Yeah, so I wish I can be there.
Okay. What about you? What is esports to you?
I would see as a dream, because I just deeply hope that players, especially some of my favorite players, they can finally reach their goal to win the world titles and to be recognized by the world, by the fans, and also the esports can be recognized by the public. That they're no longer for kids, for those people who are underage but they have a talent in esports, they will have a more professional, like the system to help them to be educated to be pro gamers. And maybe next time when we're sitting here, we will have some pro gamers to teach us how to become a pro gamer.
So maybe we no longer talk about the controversies about it,
But the bright future with the broad, like the current, like the current issue
possible.
about the esport. This is like, yeah, for me as a dream.
Okay, that is possible. Isaac, what about you? What is esports to you?
Wow. Esports. I do believe that esports is the democratization of sports. It's just taking away that gamble that everyone got when they are born of the genes, that gene pool gamble that it's a lottery. You might be too short for basketball. You might be too slim for heavyweight lifting. You might be too slow for football. It's taking away those genes and then actually making it available for everyone. Esports are accessible for everyone since the muscle that you need is the brain. That is for me esports. Esports is, as it's going to keep developing, as it's going to add VR, as augmented reality is going to come in, as 5G is going to be more and more popular in the world, probably even the dexterity and the fine motor skills that we need right now might just disappear, and then we might be able to completely put everyone in the world in a completely fair platform. So I do believe that esports means fairness. I do believe that esport is just an opportunity to put everyone at the same level since the start.
So maybe we're not on the same level of gameplay, but the playground is fair to everyone.
I agree.
Okay, that is your opinion. So I think the people in front of the screens may have a lot to say about their opinion on esports. Maybe positive, maybe negative. We welcome every one of you to input your information on the comment section. And now we're near the end of this conversation. Please allow us to say goodbye to the audience.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That's it.